Hey everyone, it's Lainey. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are reacting to a video coming to us from the Painful Explainer, and this is the dumbest ways YouTubers have died. I have not heard of many YouTubers passing away, so I'm very curious to see what we're gonna hear. Make sure to go show the Painful Explainer some love, and let's get right into it.
Shivdal Sharma. On January 18,
Shivdal
2020,
Sharma.
67-year-old retired railway worker Shivdal Sharma was filming content for his small YouTube channel dedicated to rural Indian life. Having worked for the railways for 35 years, Sharma had developed a fascination with trains and frequently recorded videos near the tracks in Uttar Pradesh, despite the obvious dangers. That morning, Sharma positioned himself approximately 30 meters from the tracks near Mathura Junction. He was filming the arrival of the Delhi-Mumbai Express,
over
which
90
would pass
feet
through
away
at approximately 110 kilometers per hour. His camera was set
68
up on a
miles per
tripod
hour.
and he stood behind it, narrating the approaching train for his 3,000 subscribers. At
Okay.
10:47 a.m., the express train struck a cow that had wandered onto the tracks. The impact at high speed created a force of approximately 50,000 newtons, enough to launch the 400-kilogram animal into the air. The cow was propelled in an arc that tragically intersected with Sharma's filming position. Physics dictates that objects in motion remain in motion. The cow, now a biological projectile, traveled 30 meters through the air. Sharma had less than 2 seconds between the initial impact and his own fate. The footage shows his expression changing from concentration to horror as the bovine mass hurtled toward him. The collision was catastrophic. The cow struck Sharma directly, transferring most of its kinetic energy in an instant. The force shattered multiple ribs, which punctured his lungs and heart. His spine was severed at the 5th vertebra. Death was virtually instantaneous. His camera captured the entire sequence, including the
Imagine explaining this to someone. Like, what happened to Shivalda? A cow happened.
Moment of impact.
What?
Railway officials later calculated that the probability of such an accident, a cow being launched at precisely the right angle to strike someone standing where Sharma was, at less than 1 in 50 million.
Well,
Ivan
yeah,
Lester
that's
McGuire.
just weird.
On April 2nd, 1988, experienced skydiving
McGuire.
instructor Ivan McGuire prepared for what would be his 800th jump.
Wow.
At 35 years old, he was no stranger
I'm not even
to the
gonna
dangers
do
of free
one.
fall. That day,
Skydiving
McGuire was
is not
filming a
for
student
me.
training jump for Franklin County Sport Parachute Center in North Carolina. Focused entirely on his video equipment, McGuire boarded the plane with his heavy VHS camera strapped to his helmet. The aircraft climbed to 10,500 feet. When it reached jump altitude, McGuire followed his student out the door without hesitation. The camera captured everything that followed. For the first few seconds, everything seemed normal. McGuire filmed the student performing maneuvers against the backdrop of Earth below. Then came a moment of horrific realization.
Wait, does he not have a
moved to his shoulders,
parachute?
frantically searching for parachute straps that weren't there.
Oh my
McGuire had forgotten to put on his parachute.
How
The
do
video
you
showed
do
his growing
that?
panic as he faced the unthinkable.
How
He was
did no
falling
one catch
120
that?
miles per hour with no way to slow down.
Yuck.
His breathing became increasingly rapid as the ground approached. For 45 terrifying seconds, McGuire plummeted through open air, aware of his fate but completely powerless to change it. The camera recorded his final moments, including his desperate attempts to somehow save himself. The impact occurred in a field near Lewisburg. The force was instant and catastrophic, killing him immediately. When authorities recovered the camera, the footage revealed the full horror of his fatal mistake. The video became one of the most disturbing examples of a preventable death captured from the victim's perspective.
How do you
Ruben
not
Carbonell. On
remember
July 5th,
your parachute?
2019, 24-year-old Spanish YouTuber Ruben Carbonell was determined to capture extreme footage for his growing adventure channel. He had built his online persona around dangerous stunts, seeking the adrenaline rush that attracted viewers. That night, under cover of darkness, he approached a cement factory in Alicante, Spain. At approximately 1 o'clock a.m., Carbonell scaled the fence surrounding the industrial complex. Security cameras captured him moving quickly toward his target, a 150-foot chimney towering above the facility. He carried a small backpack containing his base jumping parachute and a camera to document the illegal jump. Reaching the base of the chimney, Carbonell began to climb. The structure had no safety ladder, forcing him to use maintenance rungs attached to its side. For nearly 30 minutes, he ascended in the darkness, his movements increasingly precarious as he reached the top. At the summit, Carbonell set up his camera to capture the jump. He put on his parachute harness and stood at the edge. Without hesitation, he leaped into the darkness. What happened next was catastrophic.
Is it even high enough?
The parachute failed to deploy properly. Investigators later determined that either the pack was improperly prepared or the brief free fall didn't provide enough time for full deployment.
That's what I was thinking. It
Carbonell
wasn't
had
like
no
high
reserve
enough.
chute. He plummeted the entire 150 feet without any deceleration. The impact was immediate and fatal, crushing his skull and shattering his spine.
Disgusting.
Factory workers discovered his body the next morning, the camera still attached to his helmet, having recorded his final moments in excruciating detail. Nishu Deshwal. October 28, 2022.
This is recent.
Set up his phone on a tripod in a dusty field in Haryana, India. He had built a modest following on YouTube by performing increasingly dangerous vehicle stunts. That afternoon, he planned to attempt something no one on his channel had seen before. A wheelie on a 4-ton Mahindra tractor. Over 200 followers were watching his live stream as Deshwal climbed into the driver's seat. The massive agricultural vehicle, designed for stability rather than stunts, sat menacingly in the afternoon sun. Its enormous rear tires stood nearly 6 feet tall, each weighing over 400 pounds. 6 feet tall?
The tires are taller than
revved
me.
The diesel engine, causing black smoke to billow from the exhaust stack. "Watch this," he shouted to his audience. He slammed the accelerator to the floor and yanked back on the steering wheel. The tractor's front end began to rise. The physics of what happened next were inevitable. As the machine tilted backward, its center of gravity shifted drastically. Unlike motorcycles, tractors have no safety mechanisms to prevent full inversion. At approximately 75 degrees, the vehicle passed its tipping point. The tractor flipped completely backward. Deshwal had no time to jump clear. The roll bar crushed him instantly against the hard-packed dirt. The massive weight of the machine, equivalent to 2 standard cars, compressed his chest cavity beyond what human physiology could withstand. His phone continued recording as horrified witnesses rushed to help. But there was nothing they could do. The pressure
how did they
had
pick
caused
up
catastrophic
a
internal
4-ton
injuries, rupturing
machine?
his heart and lungs immediately. Nishu Deshwal was declared dead at the scene. His final moments broadcast live to his followers.
Oh, it was on live.
Rogelio Adriano. On March 12, 2022, 27-year-old Filipino content creator Rogelio Adriano sat before his camera in Cananga Leyte. Known for extreme eating challenges, Adriano had been struggling to increase his subscriber count beyond 50,000. That day, he announced his most dangerous stunt yet, consuming an entire roasted chicken, bones and all, for 20,000 pesos or $400. The challenge had come from an anonymous viewer who promised to transfer the money once the video was posted. The Litzen Manak sat on a plate before him, its skin glistening under the lights. Normally, Filipinos carefully eat around the bones, but Adriano had different plans. "I'll show you something no one has ever done," he told his audience.
How do you not break your teeth chewing through the bones?
Entire chicken, crushing smaller bones between his teeth and swallowing fragments. Larger bones were broken and consumed piece by piece. His viewers watched in horror and fascination as he completed the challenge. 2 days later, Adriano began experiencing severe abdominal pain. He ignored it initially, attributing it to normal digestion. By the 3rd day, the pain had become unbearable. His girlfriend rushed him to Eastern Visayas Regional Medical Center, where doctors performed emergency scans. The images revealed the horrific truth. Sharp bone fragments had perforated his intestinal walls from the inside. Bacteria were leaking into his abdominal cavity, causing a massive infection. Despite immediate surgery, the sepsis had already spread too far. Adriano died on the operating table as surgeons attempted to repair the damage. The pathologist later found over 30 bone fragments throughout his digestive tract, some as sharp as needles. His death certificate listed the cause as intestinal perforation leading to septic shock. All for a challenge that the anonymous donor never paid.
Of course
High
not.
on Life Trio. On July 3rd, 2018, 3 members of the popular YouTube adventure channel High on Life gathered at the top of Shannon Falls in British Columbia, Canada.
Wow,
Megan
that's
Scraper,
beautiful.
29, Alexi Lyak, 30, and Riker Gamble, 30, had built their following
they're all
of over
super young.
500,000 subscribers by documenting their travels to exotic and dangerous locations around the world. The trio was filming near the edge of the falls, where water cascaded down a series of pools before dropping 1,000 feet. The surface was slick with mist and algae. Scraper, standing closest to the edge, suddenly lost her footing on the slippery rock. She fell into one of the swift-moving pools just above the main drop. The current immediately grabbed her, pulling her toward the precipice. Without hesitation, Lyak and Gamble jumped in after her, attempting to reach their friend before she was swept away. For a brief moment, witnesses saw the three struggling against the powerful flow, just 20 feet from where the water plunged into nothing. The force of the current was relentless. Calculated at 800 cubic feet per second, the water moved with enough power to prevent any chance of swimming against it. Within seconds, all three were pulled over the edge, plummeting nearly 100 meters down the sheer rock face. The impact was catastrophic. Each body struck multiple rock outcroppings during the fall, causing massive traumatic injuries before finally reaching the pool at the base. Search and rescue teams took 2 days to recover the bodies, which had been wedged beneath the churning water at the bottom of the falls. Autopsy reports indicated all three died from blunt force trauma combined with drowning. Their waterproof camera was recovered nearby, having captured the entire sequence up until the moment they went over the edge.
Horrible.
Timothy Wilkes. On February 5th, 2021, 20-year-old Timothy Wilkes and a friend drove to the Urban Air Trampoline Park in Nashville, Tennessee.
Ooh.
Wilkes had recently started a YouTube channel focused on extreme pranks, hoping to capitalize on the viral potential
I really
of
don't,
realistic
especially
stage
like
scenarios.
on
That evening,
like
he planned to film what he called a fake robbery prank in the parking lot. At
so
approximately
stupid.
9:25 p.m., Wilkes and his friend approached a group of people outside the facility.
Robbery is going to take his life.
And carrying large butcher knives. They rushed toward the strangers aggressively, cameras hidden to capture reactions. What Wilkes didn't account for was Tennessee's permissive self-defense laws.
Yep.
Among the targeted group was 23-year-old David Starnes Jr., who was legally carrying a concealed firearm. Seeing two masked men charging with knives, Starnes drew his knife.
It's his
He
banana.
fired 3 times in rapid succession, believing he was facing a genuine threat to his life. 2 bullets missed. The third struck Wilkes directly in the chest,
how do you know?
penetrating his heart and severing
Rather be
his
safe
aorta.
than sorry,
Blood loss was
right?
immediate and catastrophic. Wilkes collapsed to the pavement, the knife falling from his hand. His friend immediately broke character, screaming that it was just a prank, as he tried to stem the bleeding.
Stupid.
Emergency services arrived within minutes,
Dumb.
but the damage was irreversible. The bullet had caused a wound channel that medical professionals term non-survivable.
Well,
Wilkes was pronounced dead at the scene at 9:38 p.m., just 13 minutes after initiating his prank. Police later reviewed the footage from Wilkes' camera, which had recorded the entire incident, including the split second when he realized the prank had gone catastrophically wrong.
No, so
Starnes was not charged, as investigators determined he had acted in reasonable fear for his life.
He didn't know it was a prank.
On May 5th, 2023, 25-year-old motorcycle enthusiast
just a couple years ago,
prepared for what would be his final YouTube video. With over 1 million subscribers, his channel, Pro Rider 1000, had become known for extreme speed runs on Indian highways. That morning, he mounted his Kawasaki
this is like
Ninja
the third one in
on
India.
the Great Anoid Expressway near Delhi. Chauhan had equipped his helmet with multiple cameras to capture the speedometer and his facial expression. His goal, announced to followers the previous day, was to hit 300 kilometers per hour. The bike was capable
186
of such speed,
miles
but the public
per hour?
highway was not designed for them. At 7:30 a.m., with minimal traffic, Chauhan began his run. His motorcycle accelerated rapidly, hitting 100 kilometers per hour in just 2.7 seconds. As he passed 250 kilometers per hour, slight vibrations began affecting the
How do you
bike's
even
stability.
control
Still,
it?
he
Yeah.
continued accelerating. At
You're gonna get the
approximately
speed
280
wobbles.
kilometers
No.
per hour, Chauhan encountered a minor imperfection in the road surface, a
Yeah.
slight expansion joint that would be insignificant at legal speeds. At such extreme velocity, it was catastrophic. The front wheel momentarily lost contact with the asphalt, creating a speed wobble that engineers call tank slapping. The motorcycle veered violently toward a concrete
never heard of
divider.
that.
Chauhan had no time to react. The impact at such high speed created forces equivalent to hitting the ground from a 30-story building. His body was thrown 50 meters from the initial crash site. The carbon fiber helmet, designed to withstand impacts up to 180 kilometers per hour, shattered completely. Autopsy reports later confirmed that Chauhan died instantly from massive craniocerebral trauma. His cameras continued recording, documenting both the speedometer's final reading of 291 kilometers per hour and the horrific moment of impact in high definition.
Horrible.
Brian Rickard. On October 23, 2013, 36-year-old Brian Rickard, known online as Yotzlaya, decided to expand his content beyond gaming videos. With over 800,000 subscribers, the YouTuber had built his following through Grand Theft Auto and Borderlands gameplay. That night, along with 2 friends, Destin Blake and Kevin Hall, he attempted to film something far more dangerous than virtual stunts. At 2:30 a.m., after consuming alcohol at a local bar in Evansville, Indiana, Rickard drove his 1994 Honda Prelude to a railroad crossing.
Drinking and driving.
His plan was simple but deadly. Race across the tracks just ahead of an oncoming train, capturing the near miss
and let's throw
channel.
a train
the
in there
Norfolk Southern
too.
Freight train was traveling at approximately 60 miles per hour. Rickard positioned a camera on the dashboard. The train's warning lights began flashing as the crossing gates descended. Instead of waiting, Rickard accelerated, attempting to beat the train through the crossing. He misjudged both his car's acceleration and the train's speed by mere seconds. The locomotive struck the Prelude directly on the driver's side at full speed. The impact generated forces equivalent to several thousand pounds of TNT. The car did not simply stop, it disintegrated. The vehicle was torn into unrecognizable fragments and dragged nearly 500 feet down the tracks. The collision was so violent that Rickard and his passengers died instantly. The human body cannot withstand such extreme deceleration forces. Autopsies later revealed multiple severed limbs, massive internal decapitation, and traumatic separation of internal organs. Injuries consistent with high-velocity impacts. First responders described it as one of the worst accidents they had ever witnessed. The camera was found 200 feet from the initial impact point, its memory card still intact. having recorded the final moments before the collision, and the look of realization.
These are some videos I would never want to see. Okay, well, there you go. The dumbest ways that YouTubers have died. I want to say a lot of these were really avoidable. Like, come on. Come on. We are not racing trains. The cow one, that one was just crazy. I don't think there was any avoiding that. That was just a freak accident. Like, I have never heard of anything like that ever in my life. Make sure to go show the Painful Explainer some love. And if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Bye.